Some of the life of a grinder stuff that I show you guys is like the hardcore grinding stuff, like going to Walmart and getting groceries, or the different aspects of life, grinding online poker, just, embracing that challenge and how different it is. I don't show much of the glamour side of being a grinder. Now, I did show you guys when I was in Arizona with my wife, obviously these are moments of zen. This is moments when you can like relax and you're like, that's so good. This week is kind of a special week. Some of you may know, or some of you may not know, but I happen to manage a gentleman by the name of Cam Amon. And I don't think I've brought him up before. I think I brought him up once or twice as I was doing charity events, but I didn't bring him up as far as his profession beyond that, because I don't really think it's appropriate to incorporate that here. But I will tell you, when opportunity strikes, sometimes you have to take a chance on people. I'm investing in this individual, and we're going to be going to studio to just check it out in May this month, and with the intention of booking like a week of studio time in August for recording an album, which is some pretty exciting stuff. But it's one of my investments. It's something that costs me money. And you know what? As part of the viewers, I think it's important that you guys see that, because it does show a little bit of the glamour side. And, I made some criticism of a poker group that's on, a lot of people are talking about it, because they said that they were going to show the glamour side of the elite poker. And I said, well, poker's anything but glamour. It's really just grinding for a living, just like anything else. But, there are aspects of poker that gives you the ability to do things that might be considered glamorous or exotic. So travel's part of that. Being able to run into an individual like this is also part of that, and what that comes from. It'll be real interesting. I got to meet Layman Brewster, sat down with him. I think it was like a 30-minute interview at one point from playing poker. So I don't know. I've got some crazy connections and just running into weird, strange situations as a grinder. And I think I owe it to my viewers, you guys, to show you some of those aspects. So I leave for Florida on Thursday. We'll see where it goes.
It's about 6 o'clock in Florida. It did get up to 101. Now it's a breezy 95 is what the temperature says. But I'm really looking forward to it. He's just got such an amazing, incredible voice. And for those of you who know me personally, know I've been working with Cam for a year now. And for those of you who just watch the videos, I haven't really mentioned him very much, but yeah, it's a wonderful life when you get to experience something that is going to have a positive impact on somebody down the road. Like, I know some of his original songs are going to be on the radio one day, and it's going to give somebody some hope that at one point might have been down and out in their life, or might have just been wanting to end it, or whatever the case may be. For those of you guys who know, you guys have seen my tattoos on my videos. That right there is a semicolon tattoo, and it's one that my daughter designed. But semicolon is a symbol that there's more to the story. It's a suicide awareness tattoo, basically. And I know Cam will inspire people not to off themselves. And from somebody as myself has struggled in the past, not anymore, but long time ago, 15 years ago or so, it means a lot to me that I can be part of this. And you can say I'm an asshole, because I am. You can say I say what's on my mind, because I do. But one thing I don't think anybody could accuse me of is not carrying if somebody truly is in need. I just want you guys to see his performance, his ability, and his ability to touch people through his voice, which is amazing.
And I can't stress this enough. So if you're playing at the World Series of Poker this year, if you're playing poker for a living, the things that happen off the felt are just as important, if not more important, than what happens on the felt. And I posted a tweet this morning. You know, people are tired of hearing bad beat stories. Like, it happens. And I can't stress that enough. That, yeah, you had a bad beat. You got it all in with 75%. Somebody sucked out on you. Wow, that sucks. But your job as a poker player is to have people put their money in badly. So when you reflect upon that, you know, it means you're doing your job as a poker player. So if you get a bad beat, instead of complaining about it or bitching about it, even though no one likes a bad beat, like when the guy one-outed me for a $4,700 pot last time I was here in Florida, or the time before, yeah, back in January, no one wants to hear about that, you know, and I didn't even complain at the guy. All I did was just say, Chips, hey, you know, you hit quads on me. I got you to put all your money in with a 2.5% chance of hitting, and it just so happened it hit. And I'm not even upset about it. I wasn't upset about it at the time. I was like, ha. I even said, I was like, man, I've been running good all month. I knew eventually I was going to have some really bad beats. But no one wants to fucking hear your bad beat story, you know? No one. One of the things that coaching my students, you know, when we start off on a coaching session, they say, hey, I've got a couple of hand reviews I want to go over with you. I'm like, all right, we'll go over some of those in just a minute. Let's get some of the other stuff out of the way. Dive into the hand reviews. And then they'll just tell me, they'll be like, oh, the flop was like deuce 5 queen rainbow and I've got a set of queens. And before they even tell me the rest of the story, I either know that an ace, a 3, a 4, a 6 is coming out, or it's going backdoor hearts, backdoor clubs, or they hit the one-outer for set over set. And it's funny because sometimes my students will come to me and they'll say, this is why I lose in poker. No, that's not why you lose in poker. When you have that, you have to really change your mental game. You have to change your mindset. You have to be at the point where you're like, I got sucked out on, and that's great. Not that you got sucked out on, but it's great that the person put all of their chips in the middle of the pot with less than a 50% chance to win. And if it's even like you had an 80% chance or a 90% chance, congrats. You played that hand perfectly. It just so happened that the card gods decided they're going to piss in your mouth. I don't know what to tell you. Like, it happens, you know. You can't allow that to ruin your next session or the rest of your session. Now, if you're the emotional player that wears his emotions on his shoulders and you get sucked out on a $3,000 or $4,000 pot and you're like, fuck! Get up, go to the bathroom, splash some water on your face, stretch, do some yoga, meditate, whatever. Go out, have a doob, go get a beer, be like, I'll be right back. If you're that type of person who wears your emotions on your sleeves, and I know there's plenty of poker players out there who do, because believe me, I've seen them. I've seen them get emotional when I suck out on them. I see them get emotional when other people suck out on them. If you're one of those players, take a break, get your mindset back in the game, and then jump right back at it. If you're the type of guy where you get one suck out and you're just like, know you're going to blow up, pick up all your chips, Get out of the way. Like, be done for the night. Be like, all right, I'm done for the night. I got my one bad beat out of the way. I'm only up like 300. I was up like 2,000 before that hand. Just get out of there, because otherwise you're just going to punt all your chips away and just punt them. So I think that's my solid core advice, and I think with a lot of professions, I think what happens outside of the profession always has an impact in the profession. So, the one thing that I can say when it comes to entertainers or musicians that I know of based on my experience, and I haven't done any research on this, but my guess is the shit that happens to them off stage, it really affects them on stage. And I know this, like my wife being a professional photographer. I was watching I think it was a documentary on another photographer, or a photographer doing an interview. And they said, 95% of what I do is not taking the photo. And, think about that for a minute. 95% of what we do, even on the poker table, is not necessarily what happens on the felt, because if your mental game isn't there, it's not there. Same thing in photography. 95% of what photographers do is setting up the shot. Taking the shot is only 5% of the work. Translate that into poker. The majority of stuff that we do happens to us before we sit down on the poker table. It's going to affect our mental game. So you have to have a really strong mental game where you stay focused. You're not allowing other factors to factor into your life on the poker table. And this is a very valuable lesson. Let me tell you, some of the people who hate their lives, who are depressed, who can't stand being married to who they're married to, but they are for whatever reason, or they're just not enjoying their life, and they like to go to the poker table to check out of the world. And you guys know who you are, because there's plenty of you out there. You need to readjust things. If you're losing in poker consistently, or if you are tracking your results and you realize you're losing, which, by the way, I think like 95% of the players out there are losing players, but in a recent study or recent survey, they found out 85% of the players believe that they're winning players. I got news for you, people. 85% of you can't be winners, okay? If it's a split 50-50, it still can't even be that, because you have to factor in the rake. And if the rake only takes 10%, well, at best, 40% of you are winners, okay? 60% of you are losers. That's at best. My experience is it's more like 9 out of 10 poker players actually lose in the long run. And that's a really hard pill to swallow. But if you're asking yourself, if you're in that 90%, and you're sitting there and you're saying, Professor, how can I get to that 10% of poker players are actually winning poker players, okay? Because I feel like anybody in that 10% is, I don't want to say elite, but I want to say they're in a different understanding of the game of poker. And I think the majority of us who are in that 10% would argue that in order to be on that 10%, it's not what happens on the felt. It's what happens before you get to the felt. And that's why when people say, oh, you're a professional poker player, I also say, well, I'm also a life coach. And people say, life coach, what's that like? And I say, well, I coach poker players, but you have to understand, coaching poker players is, there's 20% of what I coach, maybe it's a little bit more, maybe it's like 40%, is actually what happens on the felt. The majority of my coaching sessions probably deal with personal issues, life issues, getting prepared for the game, things of that nature. Because you know what? Deep down inside, those are the things that are important, believe it or not. Getting prepared for your mental game. Like when I got second in that big bet tournament with Wayne, I'd already fired 6 bullets in other tournaments. During those firing of 6 bullets, I think I smoked a little bit of weed. I think I might have drank a little bit. I even had food in one of the breaks. And I was a lot more relaxed about it. Like, I was there to have a good time, and I was there as a rec player, even though I do this for a living. When I got second in that tournament, and this is something that really pissed me off, and I even had a discussion about this with Wayne, I said, the thing that bothers me the most but also made me realize things, is I didn't smoke, I didn't drink, I didn't even eat. I didn't even drink water. I fasted the whole time. I was so mentally prepared and focused. I'll also tell you, I have a prescription for phentermine, is what it's called. So I told Wayne, I said, it really bothers me that I took a half a pill of phentermine, and every tournament that I've shipped or every tournament that I've done well in, I've had phentermine as the underlying factor. From somebody who is very holistic on a lot of things, my profession benefits when I'm on phentermine. Some of you might be sitting there saying, you shouldn't really be on any substances during a tournament. And I think for the most part, I'd agree. The American Medical Association found out that approximately 70% medical doctors abuse Ritalin, Adderall, cocaine, and phentermine during medical school. They do that even though they get tested for drugs because they understand that it only stays in your system for about 24 hours. I think phentermine probably stays in a little bit longer, but I know cocaine only stays in your system for 24 hours. My first wife was a pharmacist, still is a pharmacist. It was common that when you crammed for exams, you'd pass around Adderall and shit, or cocaine, or Ritalin, or whatever. So when you start thinking, wow, 70% of the medical profession takes that class category of drugs in order to stay focused. How much can it help poker players? Now, I'm not here to tell all of you, hey, go out and start getting Ritalin and Adderall and phentermine. But, part of this video, part of this series is to give you some of the background information about what it's like to be a grinder. And I would be lying to each and every single one of you if I did not tell you that Adderall, Ritalin, phentermine, and cocaine are substances that are heavily abused in our industry. And I haven't taken phentermine since getting second in that tournament a couple of weeks ago. I only take it when I am prepping for a tournament, when I'm going to be in a tournament. I know I've discussed off camera with other people during my 100 to 10K challenge. I'm kind of curious how much phentermine or Adderall or Ritalin I need to take in order to stay up that late. Generally, and let me give you a true story since you guys like stories and I'm pretty decent at telling stories. So when I first got this prescription from my doctor, and this is not something I publicly share very often, but I went up to him and I said, hey, doc, I said, can you just prescribe me Ritalin or Adderall? I don't like the fact that I have to buy it on the black market. I'm a poker player. I do it for my profession. I do it limitedly. I do it responsibly, if there is such a thing. And I said, it really bothers me that I have to go buy it on the black market when you can just give me a prescription for it. And now this is a doctor I've been seeing since I was, I think, 14 or 15 years old. So going on 30 years. And, when they tell you can tell your doctor anything, you can literally tell them anything. You can tell them what drugs you're on. You can tell them what substances you're abusing, whatever the case may be. And he goes, Josh, Adderall and Ritalin are for people with ADHD. I know you don't have ADHD. Yep, that's true. I do not have ADHD. And he goes, but you are trying to diet. Yeah, I am trying to diet. And he goes, I can prescribe you phentermine legally and ethically because it is a diet pill. But I was really upfront with my doctor. I told him if he didn't give me a prescription for Ritalin or Adderall, I was going to buy it on the black market because it's something I've done in the past. It's not talked about. And surprisingly, this video is taking a weird turn. I did not expect to go here today. I don't prep any of my soliloquies into the camera. I don't have a plan of action. There's been a few times, like when I was going over my WSOP package, because I needed to know which ones I needed to have. But in all seriousness, what you see here is completely unscripted. But no, phentermine, Adderall, Ritalin, cocaine, they're commonly abused in our industry. Now, I've never done cocaine. I've been offered it. I can't even count how many times. I've probably been offered cocaine over 100 times. I just don't believe in sniffing anything up my nose. or injecting myself with any needles. If you can smoke weed, great. I'm never going to do meth because I've seen what meth does. My brother who passed away was a meth user. For part of his life, he was an avid meth user. And I've seen what kind of impact that has on people. So I'll never do meth and I'll never do cocaine. But Ritalin, Adderall, and phentermine are things that I take when I play tournaments. And I don't play them all. I don't take them every time. I just told you I fired 6 bullets without even having a phentermine. Now, some of you might make the argument, hey, professor, you're an addict, because you look down and you're like, hey, I fired 6 bullets. The 7th bullet I'm supposed to cash. This is one I really want to cash in. This is one that I want to stay focused in. Pop the phentermine. Next thing you know, I am, shipping a tournament or getting second in a tournament. In the second place finish that I got on the OE out in Los Angeles, I got a second place finish, Omaha and stud 8 or better. On that day, I took a half a pill of phentermine. But let me tell you how powerful phentermine is. My doctor says to me, he says, Josh, when you take one of these phentermines, make sure you take it in the morning because it might keep you up all night. My first full pill of taking phentermine, I literally took at 7:30 in the morning when I woke up because it does suppress your appetite. And I didn't go to bed until 8:30 the next day. Not because I wanted to stay up, but because that's what phentermine does to you. You stay awake. And that's why I only take a half a pill of it. And I usually do it in the morning because I know, hey, if this is something I need a little extra juice just to push daddy through, all things that addicts will say, I'll take a half a phentermine before a tournament so that way I can focus. And it does give you a headache. There are side effects. At least it gives me a headache. That day I get a headache. And usually that's because you become dehydrated because you feel like you need to drink a lot of water. So normally when you take phentermine, like if I was playing a cash game and I wanted to stay up all night or whatever the case may be because the game was super good, I'll pound the water. Absolutely pound the water. But when I'm in a tournament, I want to keep my mind absolutely clear and focused. I don't want to be thinking, I got to use the restroom. The break's in 20 minutes. I've been pounding water. I can barely hold it. I don't want any of those thoughts to come into my mind during these tournaments. Telling you guys what it's like to be the life of a grinder. If you play poker for a living and you're part of that 10%, I would argue, based on my experience, 9 out of those 10 people who are in that 10% have done Adderall, Ritalin, cocaine, or phentermine. And I'd even make an argument that probably half that are still in that 10% still do Adderall, cocaine, phentermine, or Ritalin on a semi-consistent basis, and that's a problem in our industry that's just never discussed. But I want each and every one of you guys to know, I don't hold anything back. You're getting the genuine real thing here. And if this is your first time tuning in or you subscribed in the last couple of months and you're like, what's this guy's channel all about? This is real. This is as real as it gets. But I'll also let you know, if we're fortunate enough to ship a bracelet, go really deep, the real stuff you'll see too will be celebration and party and stuff like that. Nothing too illegal. But yeah, this is what it's like to be the life of a grinder. So, like I said, dropped cam off at the airport. It's one of those crazy things where I'm working with an entertainer, with an amazing artist, and more importantly, a beautiful soul. All right, you guys are done listening to me. I appreciate you guys tuning in. If you haven't already, hit the like and subscribe. This is definitely a video that I'm going to contemplate on a little bit before I publish it, just because it does talk about some of the dark things that aren't glamorous about poker. Grinding life. There was a post the other day that somebody said, this is going to demonstrate what the elite, glamorous life of a poker player is. And my comment was, grinding for a living is anything but glamorous. Now, given this week, I was able to experience something that, had I not been playing poker for a living, I probably wouldn't be able to experience. And yeah, Cam and I are going to produce an album. Trust me, I don't sing worth a shit. I'm just there to tweak it, critique it, come out with some good music. We're going to recording studio in August. So I'm pretty excited about that. There are some aspects of the grinding life that can be glamorous, but by and large, grinding for a living is anything but glamour. If you think that your friend is grinding for a living, they're playing poker for a living, and they haven't done Adderall, Ritalin, cocaine, or phentermine, they're the exception, the super exception. I know Wayne doesn't do any of that. I've never seen Wayne do any of that. That's rare. That's very rare. That's maybe a new age of poker players. But if you're over 40 and you've been doing this for 15, 20 years, yeah. And maybe because Wayne's only been doing it for like 5 or 6 years or whatever, maybe a little bit longer. I guess I never asked Wayne how long he's been grinding for a living, but you know, if once you get to a certain point, I think you're like, all right, I'm dragging ass. I'm in day 3 of this tournament. I need a little pick me up. When you have hundreds of thousands of dollars on the line, one little phentermine, half a phentermine pill, or one little Adderall to help you focus and help you make the right decision when you have 10, 15, 20,000, $100,000 on the line, yeah, you'll overlook that for one little pill. You'll be like, I want to make sure I'm focused. So, again, I hope this video finds you guys well. I know it's a little long-winded, and this is probably going to be one of my longer videos, but yeah, I just want you guys to know when I'm at the poker table, you can pretty much ask me anything. Just be aware that it might not be something you want to hear, but it's going to be the truth. So play smart, everybody, and do your best to do your best. Run like a god.
You see, man made the cars to take us on the road. Man made the train to carry the heavy load. Man made the electric light to take us out the dark. Wouldn't be